Hey there, thanks so much for joining us today. I'm so glad that you made some time for us. I'm really super pumped to be letting you know that my next guest in the Master Number 11 membership is Tira Whitford. Hey, Tira, how are you?
Hey, Anne, I'm well, thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm so glad you made time for us today. Thank you so much. Tira is a master empath, and she has got quite a story to share. And anyone who's a master number 11, it's very, very seldom that I meet a master number 11 who isn't aware that they have some sort of empathic abilities of some kind. And it's a challenge. The vibration is so high and so difficult to manage. And Tira has managed to figure that out, right? So we met through a client that we both share, actually. And she was kind enough to introduce us. And we just connected right away. And I knew immediately she needed to come into the group. So she's going to be our guest speaker on Monday, June 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That's the Master Number 11 membership, which is now actually being hosted on my main website, AnnePerryNumerologist.com. So you might want to check that out. It's $11 a month. To join this program. You can join for a month and quit. Like, it's entirely up to you, but there's some really good stuff in there. And you can attend our live event next week. So without further ado, Tira, how long have you been doing this?
Oh, Anne, that's a good question. Now, I've been an empath for as long as I can remember. When I was really little, I remember picking up on many things and many people. I remember my mom taking me to the doctor often because
What's wrong with her?
That's right. Like, it's kind of just the weirdness. And the first time that I remember it being a problem, I was about 5 years old, and I started playing with this friend. Her name was Susie. And when I started playing with my friend Susie, my mom started taking me to the doctor more. And one of those trips, I was about 5, and it became very obvious that they weren't seeing Susie. It was only me that was seeing Susie. And so the doctor started talking about things like shock therapy and just knock her on the head with a little rubber mallet and things like that. And it started to make me very aware of how I needed to be concerned about this gift. I needed to kind of keep it to myself. And so from that point, my mother actually said no to shock therapy, and she ended up going and finding out that the house that we were living in, there was actually many years earlier, there was a girl that had died, and her name was Suzanne Taylor.
Oh,
And
wow.
so mom kind of knew a little bit, even though she was Catholic and she didn't understand it.
Yeah.
She kind of put up with it, and yeah, gratefully we didn't go for shock therapy. So
Thank God.
yeah.
Yeah, wow. And it's always, the conception is, what's wrong with you? But really the question should be, what's right with you? But
But back
11
in the
is so
day, they didn't
scary.
know.
Exactly. They didn't know. And and it causes the 11 to feel like they have to shut it down, because all of a sudden, if I don't, these people are going to shun me. They're going to
That's
reject.
right.
And again, the 11 is the 2 that says, I need the partnership, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's scary to show the gift. Wow. So is there a difference then between being empathetic and being an empath? Is that, and being,
There sure
I'm
there
not sure I'm
sure
using the
is.
words correctly.
Yeah, there sure is. Empathy and empath it's a little bit different. So empathy means basically if you're listening to somebody and they're telling you a really sad story, and you've kind of gone through something maybe yourself, you can really feel it, and you can really feel for them in that moment. That's usually empathy. But to be an empath, you don't need to know anything about that person. You just pick up their sensations, and it can be emotional sensations or physical sensations. You might even behave like them.
Right.
And it's quite a bit different. And many empaths are very empathetic. They have a lot of empathy, but
Right.
it's not always the other way.
And so there's different types of empaths.
There's many different types of empaths. Yeah.
Okay. because I think you described me as a spirit empath.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I'm starting to understand that, just from
Yeah.
the guidance you gave me in that respect. So that was great. So what made you want to work with the empaths?
Well, to be honest, I didn't. I started
Yeah.
off being kind of scared of it, and I didn't really want to have anything to do with the empaths and with that part of me. And in 2008, my life had kind of taken a turn, and I was really miserable. And these energies came into my room. I feel like I got that divine calling where they were saying, "You're off path.
Mm-hmm.
There's something more for you to do." And I didn't know what they meant, and I didn't know very much about it. And I woke up the next day, and my life was still the same. And so I went about my world, and I kind of ended up going. Sorry, Anne.
Okay. Take a breath.
I didn't know what to do with it, so I continued to do my thing. And 6 months later, I was still just doing my thing, and pain started to come into my body and into my hip area. And I couldn't figure out what it was or what to do with it. And it actually wiped me out. I couldn't lay down without pain, and I couldn't stand without pain. And I was still a single mom, and I still had a whole bunch of things to do, and I was an entrepreneur. And so there was so much stress. But when you go through something like that, you kind of, I don't know about anybody else, but I ended up talking to God. So I started having this big God conversation saying, first off, it would be like, I don't want this pain, like get this out of me. I don't want this. And it kind of turned into, eventually it turned into, okay, you know what? I get it. I got a spiritual calling. I don't really know what that's all about. And I need to know more.
Mm-hmm.
And the pain didn't actually start to go away until I started to hear some of the responses. So,
Right.
From that part, there was a couple of things that kind of happened. One thing that happened after the pain started to go away, it was a couple of weeks later. I remember going to an event. It was a spiritual event, and there was a man there, and he didn't know me. He came to shake my hand, and he said, "Oh, you're the empath." I had no idea what the word was. I had no, and it made me really super uncomfortable. So I left and did my thing, and he went his way. And at the end, when I went home, I looked up the word empath and started to really connect with, this is really who I am. This makes sense out of my whole life. And then shortly after that, I started taking Reiki because I was in research mode, and I wanted to know more about it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know the words that I could use. And I started to be able to see kind of images and videos that were coming from people, and colors, and I didn't know what they all meant. And I remember talking to my Reiki master and saying, why don't you address this stuff? And then it became obvious that she couldn't see it. She wasn't seeing the same things that I was seeing. So, people, started coming to me after that, and I started seeing other empaths, and these empaths were struggling just like I had been, and it kind of made me want to continue to help the empath and to help the people like I didn't have, but like I thought that I wanted at the time. So that's kind of what made me start to really want to work with empaths.
Yeah, it's so interesting when they do, pain is always such an interesting thing, and we're always quick to take a pill or make it go away, or please God, remove it from me kind of thing. But where in fact, we really should be looking at it going, thank you for the pain. Thank you for the message. What is it you're trying to tell me? I still remember when I had my gallbladder out, and I put my hand over the incision where the gallbladder used to be. And I sat there for a minute and I said, so why did you have to get so pissed off and leave in such a hurry? Right? Because that's really what happened. And the message came down just like that immediately. And it said, because you're not listening. Right? Right. And it wasn't, and I really, really wasn't. When I did the inventory and I looked back over the time, line that I was getting sick with the gallbladder issue. I never even knew I was sick, so because I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
So we should be grateful, when we get the pains and we get the little nudges and the bangs in the head, like, what the heck? What are you trying to teach me? Don't chase it away because it's valuable, right?
That's right.
So what is it you're going to be talking about us with on June 28th?
So I would like to, I think I'll start off with a little quiz to just kind of help people to understand that they actually are empathic, if they are empathic. We're going to talk about the hows, how do you pick things up and who do you pick up? We're going to go through what's actually happening because it feels like we've just kind of tripped into a whole bunch of yuck, but that's not really what's happening. So we're going to kind of talk about what's really happening. And we're going to kind of go a little bit further into the abilities that you have as an empath, not just that ability to be able to feel people, but what do you do with that when you start working with it? So
now that's the whole thing, because I think a lot of the 11s, they know that on some level, they know that they're empaths because the majority of them are on some level or another. But they've long since shut it down and they're terrified to open it back up again. So I think this is going to be an amazing topic. This is just like so incredibly well-timed and so necessary. And those who attend, this is really exciting. Tira has agreed to give away 2 door prizes for those who attend. You have to attend. You can't just be a member. You've got to attend, got to do the work, show up. But she is going to be giving away 2 empathic coaching sessions. She doesn't really do a whole lot of one-on-one work anymore. So this is really quite an honor that this is being made available to you guys. So I'm really hoping you'll take advantage of showing up so you have a chance to win it. These sessions are valued at $150 US each, right? So not a bad return on an $11 investment, right? So check that out. So Tira, where can people connect with you? What's the best place to reach you?
Oh, probably through email these days. So it's info@tirahwhitford.com. That's the best place to reach me.
I'll post it up there too, so they'll have it.
Thank you.
Awesome. We can do that. That's great. Well, I'm really super pumped. I can't wait for this discussion.
Me too.
And we're going to be going live on Monday, June the 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. You can check it out at www.annperrynumerologist.com. Just look for the little tab that says Master Number 11 membership. Hoping to see you all there. Thanks, Tira. Can't wait to talk to you then.
Thanks, Sam.
Take care. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.